Dr. Amanda Cole sat at her desk reading reports when her computer made a soft beeping sound. She looked at the screen and saw an urgent message from Dr. Kevin Walsh. The subject line read, "Emergency Discovery, Luna Base." Amanda felt her heart beat faster. Kevin never sent urgent messages unless something big had happened. She opened the message and began to read. Construction workers digging on the far side of the moon had found something strange buried deep under the lunar soil. Metal pieces that looked nothing like human technology. The pieces were huge and covered in symbols no one could understand. Kevin needed her team at Luna Base right away. Amanda stood up and walked to the window of her office. She looked out at the Earth hanging in space like a blue marble. As the chief scientist who studied alien remains, she had seen many strange things over the years. But something about Kevin's message made her feel excited and worried at the same time. She called Dr. Lisa Barnes, who worked in the office next. Told her. Lisa was the best person she knew at figuring out alien languages. When Lisa answered her phone, Amanda could hear papers rustling in the background. "Lisa, we need to pack for Luna Base. Kevin found something big." "How big?" Lisa asked. "Big enough that he used the emergency communication channel." There was silence on the other end of the phone. Lisa knew that channel was only used for the most important discoveries. "I'll be ready in an hour," she said. Amanda's next call was to Dr. Ryan Mitchell. Ryan studied alien materials and could tell her what the metal pieces were made of. He answered on the first ring. "Ryan, cancel your weekend plans. We're going to the moon." "What did they find?" Ryan asked. "I don't know yet, but Kevin sounds scared. The trip to Luna Base took 6 hours on the fastest transport ship available." Amanda spent the time reading Kevin's detailed reports. The workers had been digging a new section for the base when their machines hit something hard. At first they thought it was just a large rock. But when they cleared away the dust and dirt, they found smooth metal covered in strange markings. The metal pieces were not small. The largest one was over 50 feet long and 20 feet wide. The construction crew had stopped all work and called the science team immediately. Kevin had arrived first and taken preliminary scans. What he found made no sense. The metal was not from Earth. It was not from any known human colony. The atomic structure was unlike anything in their databases. Even more strange, the pieces showed signs of extreme damage. Holes that looked like weapon hits. Burn marks that suggested intense heat. Whatever these pieces came from had been in a terrible fight. When Amanda and her team arrived at Luna Base, Kevin was waiting for them at the landing pad. His usually neat appearance was disheveled. His hair stuck up in different directions, and his shirt was covered in lunar dust. He looked like he had not slept in days. "Thank you for coming so quickly," Kevin said as they walked toward the excavation site. "What we found changes everything we thought we knew about Earth's history." They rode in a small vehicle across the moon's surface. The excavation site was in a valley between two large craters. As they got closer, Amanda could see bright lights and several people working. But what caught her attention were the metal pieces lying on the ground. They were massive. Much larger than Kevin's reports had indicated. The pieces were dark gray, with a blue tint that seemed to shift in the artificial light. Strange symbols covered every surface. Some pieces were clearly parts of a hull. Others looked like weapons or engine components. "How many pieces have you found?" Lisa asked. "Over 300 so far," Kevin replied. "And we've only excavated about 10% of the site." Amanda walked up to the largest piece and placed her hand on its surface. The metal felt cold even through her glove. The symbols were carved, deep into the surface, not painted or etched lightly. Whatever made this ship had built it to last. "Ryan, what can you tell me about this material?" Amanda asked. Ryan was already running his scanner over different sections of the wreckage. He frowned at the readings. "The atomic structure is incredibly complex. This metal is stronger than anything we can make. The manufacturing process would require technology we don't have." Lisa was taking pictures of the symbols with her special camera. "These markings are definitely a language. The patterns repeat in ways that suggest grammar and syntax. But it's unlike any alien language we've studied before. Amanda walked around the excavation site looking at different pieces. The more she saw, the more questions she had. This was clearly wreckage from some kind of spacecraft. But it was huge, much larger than any human ship ever built, and the weapon damage was extensive. "Kevin, have you found any indication of what caused this damage?" she asked. Kevin led her to a section where several pieces lay close together. "Look at these burn marks," he said, pointing to black streaks across the metal. "The heat required to make these marks would be enormous. And see these holes? They go completely through the hull. Whatever weapons made these hits were incredibly powerful." Amanda studied the damage patterns. The burns and holes were not random. They showed a specific pattern that suggested organized attack. This ship had not crashed by accident. It had been destroyed in battle. "How old is this wreckage?" Amanda asked. "That's the strangest part," Kevin replied. "Carbon dating suggests it's been here for about 800 years. But that's impossible. Humans didn't have space travel 800 years ago. We were still using swords and horses." Amanda felt a chill run down her spine. 800 years ago, Earth was in its medieval period. Humans were fighting with primitive weapons and had no knowledge of space travel. Yet here was evidence of an advanced alien spacecraft that had been destroyed near Earth during that exact time period. "We need to excavate everything," she said. "Every piece, every fragment. And we need to do it quickly and quietly. If this is what I think it is, it will change how we understand human history." As the sun set behind the lunar mountains, Amanda's team began the careful work of uncovering the rest of the alien wreckage. None of them could have imagined what they would find buried in the ancient battlefield on the moon's far side. 3 days later, Amanda and her team had uncovered enough wreckage to fill a small warehouse. The alien ships were even larger than they had first thought. The pieces they found suggested the original vessels were the size of city blocks. Ryan worked day and night analyzing the strange metal while Lisa struggled to decode the alien writing. On the 4th morning, Kevin came running to Amanda with excitement in his eyes. "We found something incredible," he said, breathing hard. "The command center of one of the ships is almost completely intact." Amanda followed Kevin to a new excavation site where workers had carefully removed tons of lunar dust. Below ground level was a section of spacecraft that looked like it had been buried carefully rather than crashed. The walls were covered in strange panels with dark screens and control surfaces. "The power systems are completely dead," Kevin explained, as they climbed down into the alien command center. "But the data storage units seem to be undamaged. If we can figure out how to access them, we might learn what these aliens were doing here." The inside of the alien ship was bigger than Amanda expected. The ceilings were high enough for humans to walk comfortably, which seemed odd. Most alien species they had encountered were different sizes than humans. The walls curved in smooth lines and everything seemed designed for efficiency. Lisa stood in front of a large panel covered in the same symbols they had seen on the outside of the ships. "I think this might be some kind of navigation station," she said. "The symbol patterns here are different from the ones on the hull, more complex." Ryan was examining a cube-shaped device about the size of a briefcase. It was made of the same strange metal as the ship but had no visible damage. "This could be a data storage unit," he said. "The internal structure is incredibly complex. It might contain the ship's computer files." Amanda looked around the command center and tried to imagine what had happened here 800 years ago. The room was arranged for multiple crew members to work together. There were what looked like seats designed for beings roughly human-sized. Control panels were positioned where hands could easily reach them. "Kevin, have we found any remains of the alien crew?" Amanda asked. "No bodies yet," Kevin replied. "But we did find something strange." He led them to another section of the ship, where the walls were covered in dark stains. "These marks test positive for organic compounds. We think they might be bloodstains." Amanda studied the dark marks on the walls. They were splattered in patterns that suggested violence. Something terrible had happened in this room. "How many of these command centers have we found?" she asked. "This is the 3rd one," Kevin said. "All of them show similar damage patterns, weapon strikes from the outside and signs of fighting on the inside." Lisa had been working quietly at her portable computer, trying to match the alien. symbols to known languages. Suddenly, she looked up with surprise on her face. "I think I found something," she said. "These symbols here repeat in a pattern that looks like numbers. If I'm right, this might be a date or timestamp." She pointed to a series of symbols carved into a metal plate near what looked like the captain's chair. "Based on mathematical principles that seem universal, I think this translates to approximately 812 years ago." Amanda felt her pulse quicken. The date matched their carbon dating results exactly. But there was something else that bothered her about the timing. "Lisa, what was happening on Earth 800 years ago?" "The 13th century," Lisa replied. "The time of knights and castles. The Crusades were happening. Most people lived in small villages. Technology was very primitive." Ryan had been working on the cube-shaped device while they talked. Suddenly it began to glow with a soft blue light. "I think I activated something," he said nervously. The device projected a three-dimensional image into the air above it. The image showed a star map with hundreds of points of light. One system was marked differently from the others. Amanda recognized it immediately. "That's our solar system," she said quietly. The star map zoomed in to show the inner planets. Earth was clearly marked with symbols that pulsed red. Lines connected Earth to other marked systems throughout the galaxy. As they watched, the display changed to show what looked like fleet movements. Hundreds of small dots moved from various systems toward Earth. "This is an invasion plan," Amanda said, her voice barely above a whisper. The display continued to show more information. Ship designs appeared next to the fleet movements. The vessels were massive, armed with weapons that could destroy cities. Population counts for dozens of worlds appeared, with Earth's medieval population highlighted. Lisa translated some of the text that appeared with the images. The symbols here seemed to indicate Earth was designated as a target for conquest. The alien species called themselves... She paused, struggling with the translation. "The best I can translate it is the Zephyrians." More text appeared on the display. Lisa worked frantically to translate it. "It says Earth was chosen because it had a large population but primitive technology. Easy to conquer and enslave. The invasion fleet contained over 200 ships." Amanda stared at the holographic display in horror. 200 massive warships had come to enslave humanity 800 years ago. Ships with weapons that could level mountains and technology far beyond anything humans possessed. Ryan had found another data cube and activated it. This one showed detailed scans of Earth from space. Medieval cities and castles appeared in the hologram, along with population estimates and resource calculations. The aliens had studied Earth carefully before their attack. "They knew everything about us," Ryan said. "Our military capabilities, our population centers, even our political structures. This was a planned conquest." The display changed again to show what appeared to be battle plans. Earth's major population centers were marked for attack. The invasion strategy was methodical and brutal. The aliens planned to destroy all military resistance quickly, then establish control over the surviving population. But something had gone wrong with their plan. Amanda could see that from the damaged ships surrounding them. Somehow, impossibly, the Zephyrian invasion had failed. Lisa activated a third data cube. The display that appeared was different from the others. Instead of crisp, clean images, this one showed damaged text and broken recordings. It appeared to be some kind of battle log or emergency communication. "The text here is fragmented," Lisa said as she worked to translate it. "But I can make out words like unexpected resistance and heavy losses. There are references to primitive vessels and impossible tactics." Amanda walked closer to the holographic display. The battle log showed increasingly desperate communications from the Zephyrian fleet. References to human spacecraft appeared multiple times, which made no sense. Humans in the 13th century had no spacecraft. One message that Lisa translated made Amanda's blood run cold. "Human forces have boarded our vessels. Repeat, humans are fighting inside our ships. This is impossible. How did they reach us?" The final entry in the battle log was short and written in what Lisa identified as the Zephyrian equivalent of panic. Fleet command is gone. Over half hour, ships destroyed. The humans fight like demons. We underestimated them completely. This is our final transmission. Amanda looked around the damaged command center with new understanding. The Zephyrians had come to Earth with overwhelming force and superior technology. They had planned to enslave humanity quickly and efficiently. Instead, they had all died here. The question that haunted Amanda was simple. How had medieval humans with swords and horses defeated an advanced alien armada in space? The answer to that question was buried somewhere in the wreckage around them, and she was determined to find it. The breakthrough came on the 7th day when Kevin's excavation team found something that changed everything they thought they knew about the battle. Mixed in with the alien wreckage were pieces of human-made objects. Not modern human technology, but crude metalwork that belonged to Earth's medieval period. Amanda knelt beside a piece of twisted iron that had been fused to part of an alien hull. The iron was rough and uneven, clearly made by a blacksmith using primitive tools. But it was shaped into something that looked like a weapon, with sharp edges designed to cut and pierce. "This is impossible," Ryan said, examining another piece of human metalwork. "This is definitely medieval iron. I can tell by the carbon content and the forging methods. But how did medieval weapons end up attached to alien spacecraft?" Lisa was photographing symbols carved into a large piece of wood that had somehow survived 8 centuries in the vacuum of space. "These aren't alien symbols," she said excitedly. "This is Latin, medieval Latin." Amanda read the carved words over Lisa's shoulder. Even with her limited knowledge of Latin, she could make out some of the meaning. It says something about defenders of Earth and a great battle against invaders from the stars. Kevin came running over with a metal object in his hands. It was clearly human-made, with the rough finish of medieval craftsmanship. But the shape was wrong for any weapon or tool Amanda knew from that time period. It was long and narrow, with what looked like a control mechanism at one end. "We found this attached to what appears to be an alien fighter craft," Kevin said. "The human-made parts seem to have been welded directly onto the alien technology." Amanda studied the strange hybrid device. It looked like medieval humans had taken alien components and tried to build their own version of advanced technology. The result was crude but functional, showing signs of actual use in battle. Ryan discovered more evidence as they expanded their search. Pieces of armor made from iron and leather were scattered throughout the wreckage. But these weren't normal medieval suits of armor. They had been modified with strange additions that looked like they were designed for use in space. "Look at this helmet," Ryan said, holding up a piece of metal headgear. "It's been sealed around the edges and has what looks like a breathing apparatus attached. Someone tried to make a spacesuit using medieval technology." Lisa found more carved messages on pieces of wood and metal throughout the site. As she translated them, a story began to emerge that seemed impossible, but was supported by the physical evidence around them. According to these inscriptions, Lisa said, Earth's kingdoms received warning of the alien invasion from something they called sky messengers. The various kings and lords put aside their wars and united under a leader, named William Fletcher. Amanda had never heard of William Fletcher in any history book, but the name appeared repeatedly in the carved messages Lisa was translating. He seemed to have been some kind of military commander who had organized Earth's defense against the aliens. The most shocking discovery came when Kevin's team uncovered what appeared to be the remains of human-built spacecraft. The vessels were incredibly crude by modern standards, built from wood, iron, and other materials available in medieval times, but they showed clear signs of having been used in space combat. "This is unbelievable," Amanda said, walking around, the largest piece of human wreckage. Medieval humans built spacecraft, actual functional spacecraft. The human ships were much smaller than the alien vessels, but they had been armed with weapons that seemed to have been effective against advanced alien technology. Amanda could see where human-made projectiles had punched through alien hull plating. Ryan analyzed the construction methods used in the human spacecraft. They used alien technology salvaged from scout ships, he explained. Somehow they figured out how to integrate alien power sources and propulsion systems with medieval craftsmanship. Lisa had found a large wooden beam with extensive writing carved into its surface. The message was long and detailed, written in several different languages including Latin, Old English, and what looked like Old French. "This appears to be some kind of battle plan," Lisa said as she worked to translate the text. "It describes tactics for fighting the alien fleet. The humans knew they couldn't match alien technology, so they developed strategies based on surprise and sacrifice. The battle plan described how human forces had used captured alien scout ships to learn about Zephyrian technology and weaknesses. They had discovered that the aliens were not prepared for close combat and had built their ships with minimal internal defenses." Amanda read over Lisa's translation with growing amazement. The medieval humans had developed tactics that were both brilliant and terrifying. They planned to ram alien ships with their crude spacecraft, then board the enemy vessels with armed knights wearing improvised spacesuits. They turned their technological disadvantage into a strategic advantage, Amanda realized. The aliens expected long-range warfare with advanced weapons. Instead, the humans brought the fight close where medieval combat skills were more useful, or Gao. Evidence supported this theory as they continued excavating. They found alien weapons that had been damaged by human swords and crossbows. Scorch marks on alien hull plates showed where human forces had used fire-based weapons inside enemy ships. Kevin discovered what appeared to be the remains of a command post built inside a captured alien vessel. Human furniture and weapons were scattered throughout alien control rooms, showing where medieval warriors had established bases inside enemy ships. "The final battle must have been incredible," Ryan said, examining burn marks on both human and alien wreckage. Primitive wooden ships ramming advanced starships. Knights in spacesuits fighting alien soldiers with swords and axes. Lisa had translated enough of the written records to piece together the basic story of the battle. William Fletcher had united Earth's scattered kingdoms and convinced them to contribute resources for building a defense fleet. Using technology salvaged from alien scouts, they had constructed crude but effective spacecraft. The human strategy had been simple but effective. They knew they could not defeat the alien armada in traditional space combat, so they developed tactics that played to their strengths. Human ships would sacrifice themselves to get close to alien vessels. Then boarding parties would fight their way inside using medieval weapons and tactics. Amanda found evidence that the strategy had worked perfectly. The alien battle logs they had translated earlier showed increasing panic as human forces boarded ship after ship. The Zephyrians had been prepared for advanced warfare, not for hand-to-hand combat with armored knights wielding swords. The final piece of evidence came when Kevin's team uncovered what appeared to be the flagship of the human fleet. It was larger than the other human vessels and showed signs of having been heavily modified with alien technology. Carved into its wooden hull was a message in Latin that made Amanda's heart race. Lisa translated the inscription, "Here lies the vessel of William Fletcher, defender of Earth, who led humanity's greatest victory against the stars themselves. Let this be remembered until the end of time." Amanda stood among the scattered wreckage of two fleets and tried to imagine the battle that had taken place here 8 centuries ago. Medieval humans with wooden ships and iron weapons had faced an advanced alien armada and won. It was the greatest military victory in human history, and almost no one knew it had ever happened. The question now was what to do with this incredible discovery. Amanda knew that revealing the truth about humanity's forgotten triumph would change everything people thought they knew about their own history and capabilities. Amanda was preparing her research report when 3 men in dark suits arrived at Luna Base. They had not scheduled a visit and had somehow obtained clearance to land without going through normal procedures. The lead man introduced himself as Colonel Jack Harrison from Earth Defense Command. "Dr. Cole, we need to talk," Colonel Harrison said as he walked into the excavation site. His eyes moved quickly over the alien and human wreckage scattered across the lunar surface. "Your discovery has attracted attention from the highest levels of government." Amanda felt a chill run down her spine. She had expected her findings to be important. But military involvement meant the situation was more serious than she had realized. "How do you know about our research?" she asked. "We monitor all archaeological work involving alien artifacts," Colonel Harrison replied. "When your team started finding evidence of medieval human spaceflight, several alarm bells went off in our security systems." Kevin, Lisa, and Ryan gathered around as Colonel Harrison explained why Earth Defense Command was interested in their discovery. What he told them changed everything they thought they knew about human history and Earth's place in the galaxy. "This is not the first battle site we have found," Colonel Harrison said. "There are similar locations throughout the solar system, on Mars, on several asteroids, even in the outer planets. All of them show evidence of the same conflict 800 years ago." Amanda stared at him in shock. "You mean there are other sites like this?" "Dozens of them," Colonel Harrison confirmed. "The battle between humans and the Zephyrians was much larger than what you see here. It stretched across the entire solar system and lasted for several months." Lisa stepped forward with her translation notes in hand. "But how is this possible? Medieval humans didn't have the technology for interplanetary warfare." Colonel Harrison looked uncomfortable as he answered. "That's where the situation becomes complicated. The truth is that medieval humans achieved technological advancement far beyond what history books record. After the victory over the Zephyrians, there was a deliberate effort to hide that advancement." Ryan shook his head in disbelief. "You're saying that human civilization voluntarily gave up advanced technology?" "Not voluntarily," Colonel Harrison replied. "The cost of the war was enormous. Entire kingdoms spent everything they had to build the defense fleet. Millions of people died in the fighting. After the victory, Earth's survivors decided that such power was too dangerous to keep." Amanda began to understand the implications of what Colonel Harrison was telling them. So they destroyed their own technology and pretended it never existed. "More than that," Colonel Harrison said. "They created false historical records. They spread stories that made the advanced technology seem like magic or mythology. Within a few generations, most people believed the old tales were just legends." Kevin pointed to the wreckage around them. "But they couldn't hide all the evidence." "They tried," Colonel Harrison replied. "Most of the human spacecraft were deliberately destroyed after the war. The battle sites were left alone because they were considered memorials to the dead. Over time, people forgot where they were located." Amanda felt overwhelmed by the scope of the cover-up. An entire chapter of human history had been deliberately erased. The greatest military victory in human history had been reduced to forgotten legends. "Why are you telling us this?" Lisa asked. Colonel Harrison's expression became serious. "Because your discovery threatens to expose the truth, and that could have dangerous consequences for Earth's current situation." He explained that Earth's relationship with other alien species in the galaxy was based on the assumption that humans were a young, relatively peaceful race. Most alien civilizations saw Earth as harmless because humans had never demonstrated advanced military capabilities. If the galaxy learns that medieval humans defeated the Zephyrian Empire, everything changes, Colonel Harrison said. The Zephyrians were one of the most feared military powers in this part of the galaxy. Their defeat by primitive humans would be seen as proof that our species is extremely dangerous. Amanda understood the problem immediately. Other alien species would see us as a threat. Exactly, Colonel Harrison confirmed. Instead of trade partners and allies, we would become targets for preventive attacks. Several alien civilizations have policies of destroying any species that shows potential for becoming a galactic threat. Ryan looked at the medieval armor and weapons scattered among the alien wreckage. So our ancestors' greatest victory could become our greatest danger. Colonel Harrison nodded grimly. Earth Defense Command has spent centuries building peaceful relationships with dozens of alien species. We have trade agreements, cultural exchanges, and mutual defense treaties. All of that would disappear if the truth about the Zephyrian War became known. Lisa held up her translation notes. But this is incredible history. Humanity deserves to know about William Fletcher and the brave people who saved our world. I understand your feelings, Colonel Harrison said, but consider the consequences. Would you rather have humanity know about one ancient victory, or have humanity survive to achieve many future victories? Amanda walked among the wreckage, thinking about the choice they were being offered. The evidence around them proved that humans were capable of incredible courage and ingenuity when faced with impossible odds, but revealing that proof could put the entire human species at risk. "What exactly are you asking us to do?" Amanda asked. Colonel Harrison pulled out a folder containing official documents. Earth Defense Command has a classified research division that studies sites like this. 1. We offer your team positions in that division with generous salaries and unlimited research funding. You would continue your work, but the results would remain classified. Kevin looked at the offer documents. "And if we refuse?" "Then your research will be classified under the Interstellar Security Act," Colonel Harrison replied. "Your findings will be sealed for national security reasons. The site will be restricted, and your team will be reassigned to other projects." Amanda realized they were not really being given a choice. Either way, their discovery would be hidden from the public. The only question was whether they would be part of the cover-up or victims of it. Lisa and Ryan looked to Amanda for guidance. As the team leader, the decision was ultimately hers to make. But she could see in their eyes that they were thinking the same thing she was. This discovery was too important to be buried forever. "We need time to discuss this," Amanda said. Colonel Harrison checked his watch. "You have until tomorrow morning to decide. Either you join our classified program, or your research ends here." After Colonel Harrison left, Amanda's team gathered in the Luna Base conference room to talk about their options. The weight of the decision pressed down on all of them. They held in their hands proof of humanity's greatest achievement, but sharing that proof could endanger the entire species. "Maybe there's a third option," Lisa suggested. "Maybe we can find a way to preserve the truth without exposing it immediately." Ryan nodded in agreement. "We could document everything and store it safely. Future generations might find a better time to reveal what really happened here." Amanda looked out the window at Earth hanging in the black sky. Somewhere down there, people went about their daily lives not knowing that their medieval ancestors had fought and won a war among the stars. The heroes of that ancient battle deserve to be remembered, but the people living today deserve to be protected. As she watched Earth slowly rotate, Amanda began to form a plan that might allow them to honor the past while protecting the future. It would require careful planning and patient waiting, but it might be the only way to preserve the truth without destroying the peace. 1 year later, Amanda stood in the main hall of the Museum of Early Space Exploration in Washington, D.C. The building was filled with visitors who had come to see the new exhibit featuring artifacts from humanity's first contact with alien civilizations. What they did not know was that they were looking at the wreckage of Earth's greatest military victory. Amanda had accepted the position as museum director after long discussions with her team. Kevin and Ryan had joined the classified research division, where they continued studying the battle sites in secret. Lisa had taken a teaching position, but secretly worked on translating more of the alien records they had found. The museum exhibit told a carefully crafted story. The Zephyrian artifacts were described as remains from ancient alien traders who had visited Earth centuries ago. The weapon damage on the ships was explained as wear from long interstellar journeys. Information panels described peaceful contact between humans and aliens in Earth's distant past. Families walked through the exhibit reading the false information and marveling at the advanced alien technology. Children pressed their faces against the display cases, excited to see real spacecraft from the stars. Their parents took pictures and read aloud from the sanitized descriptions that painted the aliens as friendly visitors. Amanda watched the visitors and felt a mixture of pride and sadness. She was proud that they had found a way to preserve the artifacts and make them available to the public. But she was sad that the true story of human courage and sacrifice could not be told. The centerpiece of the exhibit was a section of William Fletcher's flagship, the wooden spacecraft that had led humanity's defense fleet. The information panel described it as an example of how ancient humans had tried to copy alien technology they did not understand. Visitors looked at the crude wooden construction and smiled at what they thought was primitive human ignorance. Amanda, had worked carefully with Colonel Harrison to design the exhibit. Every piece had been chosen to show the artifacts without revealing their true significance. The most obviously human-made items were kept in storage, away from public view. Only the most ambiguous pieces were displayed. Late in the evening, after the museum had closed to the public, Amanda would return to walk among the exhibits alone. She would stand before the alien wreckage and remember the real story of what had happened in space 800 years ago. In the quiet darkness, she could almost hear the voices of the medieval warriors who had given their lives to save Earth. On this particular evening, Amanda was making her usual after-hours visit when she heard footsteps behind her. She turned to see a young boy, maybe 10 years old, standing near the main display case. He should not have been in the museum after closing time. "Excuse me," Amanda said, walking over to the boy. "The museum is closed. How did you get in here?" The boy looked up at her with serious eyes. "My name is Danny Peterson. I was hiding in the bathroom when everyone left. I wanted to look at the alien ships without all the crowds." Amanda should have called security immediately, but something about the boy's expression made her pause. He was studying the artifacts with an intensity that reminded her of herself as a young scientist. "What do you think about the exhibit?" Amanda asked. Danny frowned as he looked at the damaged alien hull. "The story doesn't make sense. If these aliens were just peaceful traders, why do their ships have so much battle damage? And why are their human-made weapons mixed in with the alien parts?" Amanda felt her heart skip a beat. The boy had noticed details that most adult visitors missed completely. "What makes you think there are human weapons here?" Danny pointed to a piece of metal that Amanda recognized as part of a medieval sword blade. "That's iron forged using old blacksmith techniques. I've been studying medieval history for a school project. This metal is definitely from Earth's Middle Ages." Amanda stared at the young boy in amazement. He had figured out in one visit what the museum's designers had tried to hide from thousands of visitors. "You're very observant," Amanda said carefully. "What do you think really happened here?" Danny looked around to make sure they were alone, then spoke in a whisper. "I think these aliens came to attack Earth a long time ago, and I think somehow the people back then fought them and won. But nobody wants to admit it because it would be too scary." Amanda felt tears forming in her eyes. This 10-year-old boy had understood the truth that an entire civilization was trying to keep secret. She looked into his eager young face and made a decision that would change both their lives. "Danny, what would you say if I told you a story about the greatest battle in human history? A battle where brave men and women saved our entire world from slavery, but nobody remembers their names?" Danny's eyes grew wide with excitement. "I would want to hear every word of that story." Amanda sat down on a bench in front of the main display and gestured for Danny to join her. She looked around the empty museum one more time, then began to speak in a quiet voice. 800 years ago, a powerful alien empire called the Zephyrians decided to conquer Earth. They came with hundreds of massive warships and weapons that could destroy entire cities. Earth's people had only swords and horses and wooden shields. Danny listened with complete attention as Amanda told him about William Fletcher and the United Kingdoms of Earth. She described how medieval humans had built crude spacecraft using captured alien technology. She explained the desperate battle, tactics, and the courage of knights who fought aliens in space wearing improvised armor. As she spoke, Amanda realized she was not just telling Danny a story. She was planting a seed that might grow into something larger. This boy would remember what she told him, and someday he might find a way to share the truth with others. When Amanda finished the story, Danny sat quietly for a long time, thinking about everything he had heard. Finally, he looked up at her with determination in his young eyes. "Somebody should write this story down so people don't forget it completely," he said. Amanda smiled and handed him a small notebook from her purse. "Why don't you start by writing down what I just told you? And maybe someday, when you're older, you can help find a way to tell this story to the world." Danny took the notebook and immediately began writing in careful handwriting. As Amanda watched him work, she realized that the truth about humanity's greatest victory would survive after all. It might be hidden for now, but it would not be forgotten. Museum around them was filled with lies and half-truths designed to protect the present by burying the past. But in one young boy's notebook, the real story of human courage and sacrifice lived on, waiting for the right time to be told to a world that desperately needed to remember what its people were capable of achieving.